Probably 80% of us, farmers here, will do exactly what Gerald Stanley did.
This was Colton.
Like all mothers, she saved his achievements and with pride shows them off.
He got a certificate for science when he was in third grade. He went to spelling bee.
He was a Boy Scout, a bookworm, always on the computer, and played viola in band.
He could play Titanic on it. When he was in third grade, his teacher was really proud of him, and she told me that he said the world would get along if we all got a good book to read and sit under a tree. And then she said, your son is super smart. We used to call him Harry Potter.
They also called him Coco.
His brothers were growing up, and they couldn't say Colton, so they called him Coco, and that stuck with him.
She watched him grow into a young man. Her proudest moment when he graduated high school. She said he had dreams big and small, a move to BC, buy a new truck, chef school. He had just received his forest firefighter ticket.
So my son was really a smart boy. He would have made a difference in this world.
Feist is a local defense lawyer. He was not active in this case. He attended court as a curious citizen. At the heart of the defense is something called hang fire. It's when the trigger is pulled but the bullet remains in the chamber. Feist says it's safe to infer it was at least multiple seconds before Stanley made it to the window after he fired into the air. Hang fire usually lasts a split second.
Instructed firearms for years, instructed thousands of kids on how to shoot. Anyone who takes a firearms course will be taught before anything else that you don't point a firearm at anything you don't want to shoot.
Boushie family lawyer Eleanor Sunchild witnessed how that went down in court.
I know it's on race because every visibly Indigenous juror that stood before to be selected was challenged. Had there been the 3 or 4 jurors that were Indigenous on the jury, we may have very well had a different result. The police conducted them in informing the mother about the death of her son was totally inhumane. They went into her house, did an illegal search. They told her, Colton's dead. That's how they informed her. She fell to the ground in shock, and one of the officers said, "Get a hold of yourself," or words to that effect. They smelled her breath. And that's how this family's been treated since this occurred.
In a recent Angus Reid poll, 63% of Saskatchewan residents agreed with the verdict, and some Stanley supporters weren't shy in showing how happy they were.
The killing of Colten Boushie, it was apparent that the investigation that was taking place was not competent, was irregular, and was the family had already complained about the investigation. And our concern here, the concern of Lawyers' Rights Watch, is that a real investigation has yet to take place.
My prayers are just hoping that this situation never happens again to anybody. Nobody deserves this. He was really a smart boy. He had his whole future ahead of him. He was kind, thoughtful, respected people around him, no matter what race you were.
Now that your big eyes are finally open, now that you're wondering how must they feel, meaning then that you've chased across Canada's movie screens. Now that you're wondering how can it be real that the ones you've called colorful, noble and proud in your school propaganda, they starve in their splendor. You ask for our comment, I simply will render. My country, 'tis all thy people, you're dying. Now that the longhouses breed superstition, you force us to send our children away to your schools where they're taught to despise their traditions, forbid them their languages, then further say that Canada's history really began when explorers set sail out of Europe and stress that the nations of leeches who conquered these lands were the biggest and bravest and boldest and best. And yet where in your history books is the tale of the genocide basic to this country's birth, of the preachers who lied and the people who died? How a nation of patriots returned to their earth. And where does it tell of the starvation hell as the children were herded and raped and converted? And how do we comfort the missing and murdered? My country, 'tis all thy people, you're dying. Few of the conquered have somehow survived. Their blood runs the redder, though genes have been paled. From Arctic and Nunavik to Niagara Falls, the wounded, the losers, the robbed.
Eleanor Sunchild thought he would be convicted, at least on the lesser charge.
It was shocking, because we had held on to just a sliver of hope. And given the testimony that we had heard about the hang fire and it not making sense, we thought, well, there's no other alternative than to find a verdict of manslaughter.
The idea that Mr. Stanley, if he legitimately believed the firearm in his right hand was inoperable, why he wouldn't, when he's going through the window of the vehicle, shift that firearm into his left hand and use the logical hand, the short route, to turn that vehicle off.
Bill of sale in your hand and surprise in your eyes that we're lacking in thanks for the blessings of civilization you've brought us, the lessons you've taught us, the ruin you've wrought us. So I see when our trust in old Canada got us. My country, 'tis all thy people, you're dying. Now that the pride of the sires needs charity, now that we're harmless and safe behind laws, now that my life's to be known as your heritage, now that even the graves...
The Attorney General probably should have jumped in as soon as he heard about how the RCMP responded to the killing.
Hands on our hearts, we salute you, your victory. Choke on your true white and scarlet hypocrisy. Pity your blindness. Oh, why can't you see how the eagles of war, whose wings lend you glory, are never no more than buzzards and crows. Pushed some wrens from their nests, stole their eggs, changed their story. The mockingbird sings it, it's all that she knows. Ah, what could I do, say the privileged few, with a lump in your throat and a tear in your eye. Can't you see that their poverty's profiting you? My country, 'tis all thy people, you're dying.
We can't play this game anymore, but can we still be friends? Things just can't go on like before, but can we still be friends? We had something to learn. Now it's time for the wheel to turn. Grains of sand, one by one, before you know it, all gone. Let's admit we made a mistake, but can we still be friends? Can we still be friends? Heartbreak's never easy to take, but can we still be friends? It's a strange, sad affair. Sometimes seems like we just don't care. Don't waste time
Stanley, not got away with this yet. Don't think for a second that you have gotten away with this. Because somewhere down the line, you're going to pay. Your children will pay, or your grandchildren will pay. You're going to pay.
Can we still get together sometime? La 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 la. Can we still be friends? We awoke from our dream. Things are not always what they seem. Memories linger on. It's like a sweet, sad old
My family and I have been through a lot in this past year and a half. This entire time we feel like a lot of our experiences and words have been falling on deaf ears. We haven't been heard in the process or included in the process, which is why we came to Ottawa. Which is why we came to share our story and our experiences. And it's been a very welcoming environment. We feel that our voices have been made a priority here, and we feel like we are finally being heard. We've been able to share the story of my brother Colton, of the individual, the loving individual that he was, and who he meant to us as a family. But also to share our hardships and all the systemic discrimination and racism that we endured in the process of his loss. And we understand that this is just the beginning. Us coming here and meeting with this leadership, it does not end here. This is an ongoing process and has been. And we continue, we will be back, we will be speaking out. This does not end here. We will continue the dialogue and we will press for concrete changes within the system so that no other families, no other Indigenous lives are taken before changes are made. Colton is not able to stand with us physically, so we stand here for him. We speak for him, and we will continue to do that. Thank you.
Racism shouldn't be tolerated at all throughout Canada, no matter what skin and color you are, what religion you're from. This should not be tolerated at all. We're living in a 2018, and there's a lot of hatred out there. And this, to bring the awareness that we bring, is that we want peace, unity, live together. We're all humans in this world. We all cry, we all bleed and breathe the same air and drink the same water. Though, I do not want what I'm experiencing right now. I do not want hatred for my grandchildren and my children's children. Is why I'm here to bring this awareness to the Canadian government and how we're treated. Things have to change, and we want the laws to be changed. Is why we're here.
There's a lot of racism in Saskatchewan, and we hope that our coming here opens dialogue to have meaningful discussions about that racism. A lot of Indigenous people are fearful that this verdict supports vigilante justice, which it does not. So we need to ensure that this conversation continues so our people are protected as well.
Yeah. And this conversation needs to continue not just in the political sense, the government sense, official sense. It has to continue in the classroom. It has to continue at the dinner table. It has to continue at the workplace. It has to continue at the coffee shop. It's something that you have to walk the talk. It's something that has to go on with every individual within society, with the people. That's where the change has to come from, is with the people.
As my feelings today about the whole situation, as for all nation people, that we refuse to live in fear. Our children should not live in fear. Our children should be able to walk this earth in freedom and not be worried about being shot or come up missing. So changes need to happen with the justice system, with the racism. And people seem to forget that we all drink the same water, we breathe the same air, and without this, we wouldn't be on Earth. So we need to get along, we need to make this peace. People need to think before they say racist things to each other. Be kind to one another. And that's my saying on that.